All right, let's dive into this Think and Grow Rich, huh? I mean, it's been around forever, right? Published back in 1937, everyone's heard of it.
Yeah, a real classic, self-help, all that.
But we're going deeper, not just like skim the surface.
Definitely. Let's see if this whole roadmap to success thing, especially the financial client, still works today.
Exactly.
You know, what's funny is Napoleon Hill, the author, the guy himself, bit of a character, actually.
Oh yeah, tell me about it.
Born in a one-room cabin, Virginia, then journalism, then I guess you'd call it success philosophy.
Quite a leap.
He claimed he spent like 20 years just talking to over 500 super successful people.
Wow.
Trying to like crack their code, Edison, Ford, you name it.
So basically he spent decades trying to figure out the success formula. And this book, Think and Grow Rich, is that formula, right?
That's the idea, yeah.
Although, I gotta say, some of the stuff Hill claimed, even his own business ventures, a little iffy.
Oh, there's definitely some controversy for sure. Failed businesses, legal problems. People even questioned if he actually met all those big names he said he did.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
But here's the thing. The book, it's impactful.
Yeah, it's undeniable. Millions of copies, still inspiring people.
Right. Wild, really.
So let's get down to it. The actual 13 principles he lays out for success. What are we dealing with here?
Okay, so he covers a lot. Desire, like having that burning, gotta have it goal.
Okay, makes sense.
Faith, believing you can actually do it.
Right.
Persistence, never giving up, period. Doesn't matter what.
Love it. And then there's one that I think may be super relevant nowadays, the mastermind principle.
Ah, good one. Yeah, the mastermind principle. Basically, the idea that you need to surround yourself with these brilliant minds, like a support network that actually pushes your thinking forward.
So not just networking, but actually creating like a strategic alliance with people who, challenge you, support you.
Exactly. Think advisors, mentors, your peers even, all helping each other win. That's a mastermind group.
I can see how that would be valuable. Especially now, things are so competitive. But some of Hill's ideas, like tapping into the subconscious, that sixth sense thing, that's a little fodder out there, isn't it?
He does go into some, less conventional stuff, yeah.
Right.
The sixth sense, the way he describes it, is more like an intuition, a knowing. That gut feeling that can guide you.
Intuition.
Like a blend of intuition, inspiration even, helps you navigate all the uncertainty in life and in business.
Intuition in business, huh? Fascinating. I bet some of our listeners are like, hold on, isn't that a bit too woo-woo?
It can definitely sound that way.
Yeah.
But think about it. Haven't you ever had that gut feeling about something and it turned out to be right?
Oh, for sure.
Or maybe you're stuck on a problem and then bam, solution appears out of nowhere. That's the kind of thing Hill's talking about. And he believed you can actually train it, that sixth sense, by practicing paying attention to those inner nudges.
So not just logic and planning, but actually tapping into a deeper awareness.
Exactly.
Okay, I get it. But to make all this a little more concrete, right, Hill uses stories, and some of them are really interesting.
Oh, for sure. One of the most famous R.U. Darby gold prospector, gold rush era.
Oh yeah, wasn't he the guy who literally stopped digging like 3 feet away from a massive vein of gold?
That's the one. Spent months backbreaking work, got discouraged, gave up. The guy who takes over his claim, boom, instant riches. Just kept digging a little longer.
Ooh, what a lesson.
Right. Darby learned the hard way about persistence that day.
I bet he did. It really shows you sometimes success is right there, and all you need is that tiny bit more effort. But there's another story that always sticks with me. Edwin C. Barnes and Thomas Edison.
Ah, yeah. Barnes, the guy who wanted to work with Edison, not just for him.
Right. Not just a job, but a partnership. And he had nothing. No connections, no money, but this unshakable belief he'd get there. Shows up at Edison's office looking all scruffy, determined, and somehow gets this low-level job.
Just the start, though.
Exactly. Works his way up, proves himself, and eventually becomes Edison's partner, like he'd imagined.
Amazing.
It really shows the power of desire and persistence. Barnes had this vision and he just wouldn't quit. Makes you wonder, what could we achieve if we had that kind of belief?
That's the question, isn't it?
For sure.
Both those stories, they highlight that it's not enough to just set goals. You got to have that deep, unshakable belief that you'll get there. That's what Hill calls faith.
But okay, let's be real for a second. How much of this stuff, these stories, these principles, how much of it actually applies today? The world's changed a lot since Hill's time.
That's the big question, right? Is Think and Grow Rich just outdated? Well, what's interesting is that a lot of the modern success gurus, Tony Robbins, Robert Kiyosaki, they all admit Hill's ideas were hugely influential to their work.
So even in the age of like AI and startups and all that, these principles still hold up?
They do seem to. The core message of the book, right, that your mindset is crucial to success. That's maybe even more important now. Things are so complex and constantly changing.
Right.
Having that clear goal, Hill calls it definite major purpose, and the absolute refusal to quit. Arguably even more critical now than back then.
So it's like Hill provided this blueprint, and even now in this digital age, we're still building on that foundation.
Exactly. But there's more to it than just having a goal and chasing it blindly. Hill also talked about aligning your goals with a higher purpose.
Aligning with a higher purpose, what does that even mean, practically speaking?
It means thinking about the impact your success will have on others, on your community, on the world even. It's about asking yourself, how can what I achieve contribute to something bigger than just me?
So finding that sweet spot where your personal ambitions and like a sense of purpose actually meet. I like that. Adds another dimension to what success really is.
It does, and it gets at the idea that true success, it's about more than just you winning. It's about using your abilities, your resources, to make a real positive impact on the world.
Wow, that's powerful. But how do you even define that definite major purpose in the first place? There are so many options, so many paths you could take.
That's where it gets interesting, and that's what we're going to explore next. We're going to break down Hill's concept of the definite major purpose, see how it works in the 21st century, and even give some practical ways to figure out your own unique purpose.
Okay, I'm hooked. Let's dive in. So finding that definite major purpose, that's a whole challenge in itself, right?
It can be, yeah.
I mean, think about it. Everywhere you look, there's this message about what you should be doing, what success is supposed to look like.
Oh, totally.
It's tough to cut through all that and figure out what actually matters to you.
Hill talks about this, actually. He says a vague desire just won't cut it. Got to be a burning, specific goal, something that really lights you up.
Yeah, okay.
He compares it to like a compass guiding your every move. He actually tells this story about a man who he wanted to be a lawyer.
Okay.
But deep down, he really loved writing. But he ignored that for years, chased what he thought he should do, not what he truly wanted.
Oh, I know so many people like that, stuck in careers that just don't do it for them.
Right. So how do we avoid that? How do we actually find that definite major purpose?
Yeah, good question. What does Hill say?
Well, he's got some interesting techniques. One is autosuggestion. Basically using affirmations, visualizations to kind of imprint your goal onto your subconscious.
So like programming your mind for success.
Kind of, yeah. It's about constantly feeding your mind with positive messages about what you want to achieve.
But isn't that just like wishful thinking if you just think about it hard enough?
It can be, if that's all you do. But Hill is very clear, thought without action, meaningless. He's got that famous line, faith is the starting point of all accumulation of riches. But then right after, he says, faith without works is dead.
So belief and action, gotta have both.
Exactly. But even with a clear goal, even if you're working hard, you're going to hit setbacks, right? How do you stay motivated when things get tough? When you just want to quit?
Oh, all the time. It's so easy to get discouraged.
That's where persistence comes in. Remember that story, R.U. Darby, the gold mine?
Oh yeah, the guy who gave up right before striking it rich.
Gave up 3 feet away from success. Hill uses that story to show how devastating it can be to quit too soon. He argues that persistence, that's the one thing that separates the winners from the, well, not winners.
But staying persistent, that's hard.
It is.
How do you actually do that? When you face obstacles, when the doubts creep on?
Hill has some tips for that. One is focus on your past successes.
Okay, yeah.
Even the small ones. Remember those times you overcame something, you achieved something?
Makes sense.
It reinforces the belief that you can handle whatever comes next.
Like a mental highlight reel of your wins to boost your confidence.
Exactly. You've been through tough stuff before and you came out the other side. And another key to persistence, having the right people around you. Which brings us back to the mastermind principle.
Ah, there it is again. So it's not just about brainstorming, it's about having that support system that keeps you going when you feel like giving up.
Exactly. Imagine a group of people who believe in your vision, who push you, who celebrate your wins with you. That's invaluable when things get rough.
Like an amplifier for your persistence. But building that kind of network, that takes effort, right?
Oh, for sure. A real mastermind group, it's not just collecting business cards. Hill says be intentional about who you choose.
Okay, yeah.
Find people who share your values, but who also bring different skills, different perspectives. It's about creating that synergy where everyone benefits.
So finding people who support you, but also challenge you to think differently? Powerful stuff. But that sixth sense thing, we keep coming back to that. It's so interesting, but also, I don't know, kind of hard to grasp. How do you actually develop that intuition?
Well, Hill didn't think it was magic. He saw it as a skill you could develop by practicing, by becoming more aware. He said, pay attention to your gut feelings, those little nudges, those flashes of insight, especially when you're making a decision or facing a problem.
So becoming more tuned into that inner voice, that knowing that sometimes goes beyond just logic.
Exactly. Learning to trust that intuition, seeing it as valuable information, not just dismissing it as, oh, it's just a feeling.
But in a world where everything's about data analysis, doesn't that seem risky? Like relying too much on feelings?
It's a good point. But Hill wasn't saying abandon logic completely. He saw the sixth sense as working with logic, not against it.
Right.
Finding that balance between your head and your heart, the analytical mind and the intuitive soul.
So using both to make decisions, seeing the bigger picture, making choices that align with what truly matters to you. That makes sense. But with all this talk about mindset, inner work, it's easy to forget that success also takes, actual doing, right? Can't just sit around thinking positive thoughts and expect money to fall from the sky.
You got it. Hill was adamant about that. He said, wishing will not bring riches. But then he lays out the whole formula. Desiring riches with a state of mind that becomes an obsession. Then planning definite ways and means to acquire riches. And backing those plans with persistence, which does not recognize failure, will bring riches.
Wow, that's a mouthful. But I get it. It's about taking that desire and turning it into a plan. Concrete steps, things you actually do.
Right. He called it organized planning.
Okay.
Breaking that big goal down into smaller, manageable chunks. And also seeking out knowledge. Learning the skills, the strategies you need through books, mentors, courses, whatever works.
So combining that big vision with a detailed plan and realizing you don't have to have all the answers right away. You can learn as you go.
Exactly. But let's be honest, not every plan goes perfectly, right? What about when you hit those roadblocks, when things don't work out the way you expected?
Oh, always. It's inevitable.
That's where Hill's idea of creative vision comes in.
Creative vision.
Yeah, he said when you face obstacles, use your imagination. Think outside the box. Find a new way to reach your goal.
So see challenges as opportunities. To get creative, to grow.
Exactly. He didn't see obstacles as reasons to quit, but as a natural part of the process. By developing that creative vision, you turn challenges into stepping stones.
I like that perspective, but I think it's important to acknowledge that not everyone starts from the same place. What about people facing systemic barriers or who are just struggling to get by? How does this Think and Grow Rich message apply to them?
That's a really important point. And it's true, Hill's book is written in a different time. Some of what he assumes about opportunity, it might not be true for everyone today. But the core of his message is that we all have the power to shape our lives, no matter what our circumstances are. And that power starts with our thoughts.
So yeah, external factors matter, but ultimately our mindset, our choices, they play a huge role.
Right. And while Hill's book might not address all the complexities of social and economic inequality, his ideas about self-belief, persistence, finding creative solutions, those are tools anyone can use.
It's about adapting these principles to your own situation, using them to empower yourself no matter what you're facing.
Exactly. And that's what makes Think and Grow Rich so timeless. Some of the specifics might feel a little old-fashioned, but the core message, that we have the power to shape our own reality, that still resonates today.
For sure. But let's be honest, Think and Grow Rich, it can be a little repetitive, and the language can be a bit much.
Oh yeah?
What advice would you give to someone who's intrigued by the ideas, but maybe a bit intimidated by the book itself?
I'd say don't feel like you have to read the whole thing cover to cover. Start with the principles that really speak to you and explore those. Look for examples of those principles in action, in the book, in your own life. And don't be afraid to adapt Hill's ideas to your own situation, your own goals.
Take what works for you, leave the rest, find your own path.
Exactly. And remember, success, it's a journey, not a destination. There will be ups and downs, setbacks, breakthroughs. But if you can keep the faith, stay persistent, keep learning and growing, you can achieve anything you set your mind to.
Love it. And that brings us to a question I think a lot of people have about Think and Grow Rich. Does it actually work? I mean, are there real people out there who've used these principles and seen amazing results?
Oh, absolutely. And that's what we're going to dive into next. We're going to look at some modern day examples of people who have really embodied the Think and Grow Rich philosophy and achieved incredible things. We'll see how they used Hill's ideas to overcome obstacles, reach their goals, and make a real impact on the world.
All right, I'm ready for some inspiration. Let's do it. Okay, so we've got the theory, the principles, all that, but show me the receipts, right? Are there actually people out there living this Think and Grow Rich life and making it work?
Oh yeah, tons.
Really? Give me some names.
Well, look at Oprah for one.
Okay, yeah, Oprah. Hard to argue with that.
Talk about a definite major purpose, right? Started with nothing, built a whole media empire.
For sure.
All about empowerment, connection, those themes. And she had plenty of setbacks along the way, especially early on, but never wavered, never gave up on her vision. Now she's an icon. Her story, it really reflects a lot of what Hill talks about.
It's not even just the wealth, it's the impact she's had. That ties into what you were saying before about aligning your goals with a higher purpose.
Exactly.
Okay, but give me another example. Someone maybe a little less, Oprah level famous, but still living these principles.
All right, how about Sarah Blakely?
Schmicks.
Banks, okay. She had this idea, right? Make shapewear that actually works, feels good. No fashion background, zero connections in the industry, barely any money to start. But she had that fire Hill talks about.
I love that.
She hustled, got creative with her marketing, and boom, billion-dollar company from nothing.
That's a real Think and Grow Rich story if I ever heard one. You don't need to be born rich or connected. It's about the vision, the work ethic, and then taking action, even when you don't have much to start with.
Exactly. And it shows another thing Hill talks about. You don't need to be some genius inventing something totally new. Sometimes it's about seeing a problem, a need that people have, and finding a solution that really makes a difference, like Sarah Blakely did with Spanx.
It's not just about chasing money, it's about providing value, solving problems. That's cool. I like that. It adds another dimension to Hill's philosophy, for sure. But we keep circling back to this idea that Think and Grow Rich, it's not just a get-rich-quick scheme.
No, definitely not. I mean, it's in the title, right? But I think Hill's message is way bigger than that. It's about growth, about reaching your potential in any area of life, and then using your success to do good, to give back.
So it's not just about you, it's about making a positive impact on the world.
Yeah, like a reminder that we all have a responsibility to make things better than we found them.
I love that. It gives a whole new meaning to what success can look like. But we've covered a lot of ground today. I know our listeners are probably thinking, okay, all well and good, but where do I start? How do I actually put all this into practice?
The first step, really get that core message of Think and Grow Rich into your head. That your thoughts have a huge impact on your reality. Start paying attention to that inner voice. What stories are you telling yourself about who you are, what you can do?
Become aware of our self-talk. Notice those limiting beliefs that might be holding us back.
Exactly. Once you see them, you can start to challenge them. Replace them with beliefs that empower you. And then take action. Don't wait for the perfect plan or the perfect moment. Just start doing something, even one small thing each day, to move towards your goals.
So inner work and taking action, making those thoughts a reality. It's a journey, not a destination, right?
Exactly. And it's a journey that's going to be different for everyone. What works for one person might not work for you. So experiment, find what resonates with you, adapt Hill's ideas to your own life, your own goals.
And don't give up. Remember, persistence is key.
Absolutely. Victory is always possible for the person who refuses to stop fighting.
There you go. So to all our listeners, don't underestimate the power of your mind. Believe in yourself, embrace the journey, and use your unique gifts to make the world a better place. That's what this is all about, right?
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And to quote Napoleon Hill one last time, whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve.
So go out there, think big, believe in yourself, and start creating the life you want.
Until next time, keep thinking, keep growing, and keep diving deep.